Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yater Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, the Forward Corporation, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Hammond Drives and Equipment, Garber Chevrolet, the West Branch Visitors Bureau, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Indeed, this is the big guy, Mike Avery. Not as big as I used to be, but I will always be a big guy. Thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction. And welcome to the very first Outdoor Magazine radio show of 2026. How in the world did we get to be in the year 2026? I'm not quite sure, but I am glad we're here, and I'm glad you're here along with me. Boy, the last week, since we've last talked, what an interesting week it has been. Mother Nature has exerted her will on us across this great state of Michigan. She is a very powerful, very impressive force, isn't she? Man, it's I don't care if you were up in the UP in a tremendous blizzard, snow downstate, ice downstate, winds. It has been quite a week. And as I always say, that's one of the things that I enjoy about this outdoor lifestyle, because when we get outdoors, when we go beyond the walls of our house or our office or the shop or whatever, and we get outside, we find out just how insignificant we really are. In today's modern, technologically astute world, we get spoiled. We get used to looking at a screen. I'm looking at screens right here in the studio. We get used to looking at screens. You touch a screen, you click a button, you scroll, and things automatically respond. It's immediate. And I think maybe sometimes in the back of our minds think the whole world is like that, but it's not. When you get outdoors, when you get in the woods, when you get on the ice, when you get on the water, when you get in the fields, when you get in the woods, things don't behave the way we want them to all the time. The weather doesn't necessarily do what we want it to do. The critters don't do what we want them to do. The fish don't do what we want them to do. And when everything does come together, it's a bonus. It's a very, very cool experience. But much of the time when we're hunting and fishing and trapping and doing whatever it is we love in the outdoors, it is, I don't want to say it's a battle with Mother Nature and the fish and the critters. I don't want to say it's a battle of wits because too often I lose that battle of wits. And I don't want to think that something that is so stupid can outsmart me so much, but they do. And I like that. I like that challenge that being in the natural world brings to us. So we are in 2026. What is this year going to bring? I don't know. You don't know. None of us know. But we can look into the future. We can look at some of the things that are on the horizon for this year and speculate. A couple of things I see as interesting and potential topics for the year coming up. Number one, the concept of baiting. Baiting for deer and elk in the Lower Peninsula. The DNR has made it very clear that they want us as hunters to harvest, kill more deer. And they've given us some of the tools to do that by expanding the rifle season into what used to be called the muzzleloader season. There is no muzzleloader season in the Lower Peninsula anymore. It is a second rifle season, and I expect that sometime here in the near future, the name of that season will be changed. The reason it hasn't so far is when you go into the rules and into the laws and start changing the name of seasons, it's more complicated than you would expect it would be. But it is. So they have given us those tools. they've taken away several years ago, I think, one of the tools that could be most beneficial for the average hunter, the weekend warrior, to harvest more deer, and that is allowing hunters in the Lower Peninsula to use bait. The DNR took that option away a few years ago, several years ago now, saying that in their opinion, baiting is a I don't want to say a tool. Baiting can help spread CWD, chronic wasting disease. And they say when you bring deer into an unnatural baited situation, that the nose-to-nose contact that deer naturally do can help spread the disease. Or in the case of CWD, the prions or the prions that are in the ground, it can help spread CWD. I don't want to help spread CWD. I don't want to do anything that's going to be negative to the deer herd. But I got to be honest, I'm far more concerned about, say, EHD, that disease that shows up from deer being bitten by midge flies. When I look at EHD and you look at what that does to a local deer population, that can decimate a deer population immediately. CWD, chronic wasting disease, is harder for me to wrap my brain around because it happens so slowly. So I'm not convinced, and I'm not a biologist, I'm not an expert, I'm not a passionate deer hunter, I'm not an expert deer hunter like many of you are and many of the people I see online every day who are absolute experts when it comes to deer hunting. I'm not one of them. But I'm a long-time observer, and I'm a passionate participant in the outdoors here in Michigan. I'm not convinced that chronic wasting disease is the threat that the Michigan DNR and many other DNRs across the country would have us believe. And again, I'm no expert. I think we should be allowed to bait. I think that gives the average hunter more opportunity to draw deer in and see more deer and therefore harvest more deer. Now, the DNR will say that when they look at their statistics, that hunters who use bait really don't kill more deer than hunters who don't. I just know that anecdotally, in my world, if I was allowed to hunt over bait, I think I would have the opportunity to harvest more deer. So the reason I bring it up is I do not believe that the Michigan DNR is going to back down on this. In fact, I think, and I've told them this, I think they've painted themselves into a corner with this situation, and they can't get out of it. And I don't think they will. I do not expect to see in 2026 a proposal from the Michigan DNR to allow hunters to use bait. I don't see it happening, especially the concept of a bait license. That's not going to come from the DNR. But it might come from the legislature. And there are bills in the legislature right now that would allow baiting and that would allow for the use of a bait license. What happened to Proposal G, the Sound Scientific Wildlife Management Act that we voted for years ago? As much as I want to see baiting come back, I don't want to see it come back from the legislature. I don't want politicians getting involved, although they do have the ability to do that. And so does the NRC, and I think we're going to get a new NRC commissioner next year. So baiting is something that I think could change here in Michigan in 2026, but don't look for it to come from the DNR. Another topic that I think is kind of on the horizon here, and this is the issue of wolves, wolf management, a wolf hunt. A lot of people are mad at the DNR because we don't have a wolf hunt. It's not in the DNR's hands. The DNR's hands are tied for a wolf hunt until the animals are delisted at the federal level. Well, there is movement at the federal level that just might make that happen. If it does happen, will the Michigan DNR be ready to institute a wolf hunt? I think they will. I think there are plans in place that if they are delisted at the federal level and the NRC says go ahead, I think we could see a Michigan wolf hunt. Could we see it in 2026? Probably not. 2027? Yeah, maybe. What about also DNR funding, license fees? Nobody wants to pay more for our hunting and fishing licenses. However, I think it's a legitimate ask. I think it's a reasonable ask when Those fees haven't gone up since, 2014? We will see. We will see. What else is going on? Oh, did you remember to apply for the Pure Michigan Hunt? I did. And my buddy Charlie got me some Pure Michigan Hunt applications for Christmas, too. So God bless you, Charlie Rude. And we don't know who won the Pure Michigan Hunt yet. There will be 3 winners. I am one of them. Now, I have not been officially notified of this. I have not seen this in print. I didn't receive the phone call. But I just know in my heart of hearts that I am one of the Pure Michigan Hunt winners. And I am more than happy to share that with two of you as well. Oh, if I do win, it's going to be so bad because people are going to say, Avery, you're in cahoots. I'm not. But if I do win the Pure Michigan Hunt, I am willing to put up with the grief that I'm going to get that bull elk tag. Coming up on this week's Outdoor Magazine show after the break, Dave Thomas of Bowhunter Planet joins me. The bow season's pretty much over. The Archery Trade Association show is just around the corner. So what is the status? What does the world of archery look like today? Dave is a good guy to talk with about that. Then Brad Dupuie, Mr. Angler Quest, the upcoming boat show season. In our second hour, Jay Woiderski of Sturgeon for Tomorrow talks about the upcoming chivalry, spearing in general. Then Mike Mitchell from MUCC. What is the status of that organization today? And in hour number 3, ice fishing and more with Mark Martin. And we wrap it all up with wild game chef extraordinaire, Dixie Dave Minar. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Alpena on WZTK. That's 105.7 FM. You can hear us in Taos on WIOS, 1480 AM, 106.9 FM. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Marquette, WDMJ, 1320 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by the Linwood Beach Marina and Campground. Linwood Beach can be your year-round Saginaw Bay fishing destination and your Mid-Michigan Angler Quest headquarters as well. Whether it's open water fishing, whether it's fall waterfowl hunting, fall trolling for trophy walleye, or ice fishing for walleye in the wintertime and perch, Linwood Beach is a wonderful Saginaw Bay destination. They have a great location, beautiful facilities, wonderful people. Check them out online at linwoodbeachmarina.com. That's linwoodbeachmarina.com. So what season are we in right now? I don't know. I mean, deer season is still kind of going on, the late doe season. We are, inland ice fishing. Saginaw Bay ice, maybe up by shore yet, but I don't think anybody's traveling too far offshore just yet. What about archery season? I mean, archery is something that a lot of people practice year-round. Bow hunting is wonderful. I love to bow hunt. I love archery. I think my most enjoyable hunts have been with a recurve. But boy, that takes a lot of commitment. I'm not willing to commit the time these days that I have to shoot a recurve enough to be proficient enough to be comfortable with it. So I've moved on. I've actually gone back to a crossbow. I love hunting with a compound. I've taken a lot of animals with a compound, but a crossbow just gives me, you can say, hey, Avery, it's the easy way out. Well, maybe it is. But you know what? It is a tool that allows me to be proficient and confident when I let an arrow fly, and that's what I'm looking for. When you're talking about bow hunting, though, I don't pretend to be an expert. I'm really not an expert at much of anything these days, but I know who the experts are. And when it comes to archery, the folks at Bowhunter Planet are one of my go-to sources. Bowhunterplanet.com, bowhunterplanet.com. Dave Thomas, one of the founding fathers and driving forces behind Bowhunter Planet, with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Dave, welcome back. How have you been? Hey, he's really quiet, Charlie. He's like real quiet. Charlie's pressing buttons. Dave, are you there?
Right here.
There you go. Okay. How have you been, Dave?
Good. I know if you had some dead air going on.
Yeah. We don't like dead air. It makes me nervous. But how have you been, my friend?
Doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing real well. I'm looking forward to 2026. Just a lot of exciting things going on in my world and in my mind. Now, in past years, this time of year, I would be very excited about going down to the ATA, the Archery Trade Association show. These days, I'll be honest, I could care less because I think I can find out everything that's going on online. Is it still a big deal, Dave? Will you be going down there?
No. Yeah, no, it's definitely not what it used to be. And I think it's just one of those things that, sorry, dogs are barking. One of those things that just changes, as things change, with COVID, make it available for companies to buy everything online and start connecting online. And then manufacturers stop going, a lot of them, which most of them have not returned to my knowledge. So I think that's kind of caused part of the long-term issue there for them.
So how do we find out about the new launches, the new bows, the hot new things these days?
Yeah, everything's online now. Everything is pre-launched. I would say majority of stuff is launched now. Even some at Total Archery Challenge that we've been seeing in Michigan here. This archery outdoor show's taken over a lot of that excitement. But, Prime launched a bow at the TAC this year. And then obviously once we get into August, most companies start kicking off. Usually CPSC go first, followed then Bear Archery. And then we hit November timeframe and we have the Matthews, Hoyt, Expedition, everybody else, Prime. They all start to go like early November now. So the only one launching at the ATA show this year is Bowtech. And I don't know if that's because they're just behind or because that's not normal for them either. Normally they would launch as well in the fall.
So what are we looking for in bows these days? It used to be speed, and then shootability, which meant smoothness, no hand shock. I mean, what are the buzzwords these days?
Yeah, right now it's changed to what we call kind of now in the industry, the tech side of it, where they're doing these things where they have things like the front Picatinny on the front of the bow, which this is where your sight attaches. So you can imagine a Picatinny as like on a weapon, a firearm. Same kind of deal. They put a Picatinny on the front, and they also do it's called IMS, and that is a system for it's like a mini Picatinny kind of, and that's a system for your rest that attaches to the riser itself. The same with the Picatinny on the sight. They attach to the riser, creating what they call an inline system. So everything's kind of balanced onto the riser instead of on the side plates that we used to have a lot of. So you're seeing that in pretty much all the brands now.
So that to me sounds like an accessory system, almost minor. I know it's not minor, but it's not earth-shattering like, cam systems and such. Have we gone as far as we can go with the technology of the bows themselves? So now we're looking at the accessories?
Partially, but I will say that this year was the year of the tuning. The biggest thing this year at launch was tuning, and most companies launched some sort of tuning in either the limb or the cam, and pretty cool technologies, to be honest. Stuff where the limbs are adjusting, each limb can be adjusted solo to help tune a bow, like when we talked about paper tuning a bow. So they did that, and then Bowtech owns the deadlock system, which actually takes your cam. It can move it left and right based on like a bracket. I don't even know what you call it, but there's something in there that allows it to move left and right with just a screw. It's pretty impressive, honestly. But the tuning this year was the tuning where everybody kind of caught up with some sort of tuning system, and that allows the pro shops. The biggest thing for that is the pro shop, because when you take your bow into a pro shop to get it tuned, what we call tuning, if you can't get it straight, your arrow straight, they would have to, what they did, shim the cam back in the old days, I guess, the 90s and 80s, or 80s, 90s, and 2000s. And that's where they have to go in and move that left and right based on using shims. And now they could do it pretty simply and fast.
Well, let's talk more about tuning for folks who don't understand. Why would we want to tune a bow? I mean, don't you pick them up and shoot them and they throw an arrow just perfect?
Yeah, that's a great question. So they do not sometimes, and it could be a lot of factors. So the pro shop usually helps with these factors, but it could be your rest could be off, your D loop could be a little bit off. So anything that changes your pure perfect shot angle is what you're trying to fix. So when you fire down, when you want to get the most out of your bow, you don't want it tailing left or right, up or down. So basically, if you fire an arrow and you see it kind of coming in on a steep angle before it impacts, that's bad, or a low angle or a left or right angle. So what you want is basically a bullet. You want the arrow to be straightest in perfect flight because you're going to get the most out of it for penetration, distance, and speed. So it's got to be perfectly tuned. So I highly recommend that to anybody shooting a bow. Use a lighted knock to see. You can kind of see basically with a lighted knock what your arrow's doing. If you see it go left, right, up, or down before impact, that's not good. So you definitely need to tune your bow.
Aren't those lighted knocks wonderful?
That's one of the best things I've ever seen in the industry, and it's kind of sad to me, Mike, that some states are still, I think, not allowing them. I feel like it's one of those devices that is a necessity to just knowing where you hit the animal. I think that's a super important thing to understand and see and process. So for us not to use it doesn't make sense to me.
I didn't realize some states did not allow lighted knocks. That doesn't make any sense at all.
Yeah, a lot of the Western states have issues, and I'm not exactly sure it's specifically lighted knock at this moment, but there's been a lot. I mean, I know for sure they weren't legal for so many years, and I'm talking the past like 5-6 years ago. Yeah. So I know that over time they've been changing these laws. Hopefully they've opened it by now, but I do know there's strict rules around that and trail cams and other stuff like that help people engage in outdoors.
People, we get so caught up in technology. And then it's like there's a tipping point. Okay, have we gone too far with technology? So they want to really pull back. Trail cameras is another thing. I mean, man, how did we ever kill deer in the state before we had trail cameras?
I'll be honest, they don't help me very much.
Just because you see them wandering through the dark doesn't mean they're going to be there when you want them, right?
Yeah, for sure.
How was your season this year, Dave? As long as we bring it up.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Yeah, we hunted hard up in the Mayo area. We hunted. We're still hunting in this area down here by me in the southeast area a little bit. But for as far as bucks go, we only saw maybe 2 that we would consider decent, and those 2 would always come in at night. Never nothing specific, and so very hard for us. And then here, down here, we've only seen the same specific deer and. To be honest, it's like a family of deer, so I've been trying to avoid them, like a mom and 2 babies. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll wait for the next doe, but they're not coming. It's very strange, considering the fact I know there's a lot of deer out there. So we're trying, Mike.
Well, and trying to get it done. Deer hunting is such a personal thing because if the section or the farm or the property or the 40 that you're hunting, the deer are not coming in there, they're not coming through there, you're not seeing deer. It doesn't matter what they're doing a mile away. They could have 200 does in a field a mile away, but if you're not seeing them, you can't take them. You can't harvest them.
That's true, 100%. I've just seen. I just remember going to years ago. We used to go. I'd be invited to go to people's farms, and they had like corn, soybean farms, or and I would see 60, 80 deer a night. Like no joke. Like sit there and be like, wow, like that's a lot of deer. And then I hit the hardwoods, where we have access to, and there's no food plots, there's no, baiting, there's none of that stuff. You can't do anything, right? And you might see 2 or 3 deer go by randomly. Yeah. It's so much harder. It's just such a challenge, but it's okay. It's part of the game.
It's part of the game. We're talking with Dave Thomas of Bowhunter Planet. The website bowhunterplanet.com. That's bowhunterplanet.com. We got to take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show, but when we come back, I want to talk more with Dave about the evolution of archery, what we should be looking for today. Do we need to upgrade every year? And if it is your time to upgrade, what should you be looking for? Is it time to jump to a crossbow? Or if you're going to stick with a compound, these things are so expensive these days. How do you get the right bow, the perfect bow for you? Is there such a thing as a perfect bow? And then the accessories. I guess that's the question. Dave can ponder that during the break. Is there a perfect setup for the average Michigan bow hunter? And what does it look like? How much does it cost? And then we'll wrap up the hour with Mr. Angler Quest, Brad Dupuie. It used to be the archery trade show time of year. Well, it is the boat show time of year. And Mr. Angler Quest, Brad Dupuie, is going to be hitting all of these shows. We'll talk about that and more coming up here in hour number 1 of this week's Outdoor Magazine. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Carroll on WKYO 1360 AM and WIDL 92.1 FM. You can hear us in St. Joe, WSJM 94.9 FM, and you can hear us north of the bridge in the Sioux, WKNW 1400 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by Killer Food Plots. Look, I know you're not putting in food plots right now, but if you were able to hunt over food plots this year or put in food plots last year like we did on our lease property, you can see, okay, here's what went well, here's what didn't go so well. And we are already looking at, because we are blessed to have lease property and the ability to put in food plots, what we are going to do differently this year. We've called in Rich Grzan of Killer Food Plots, talked with him about this quite extensively. He's going to help us out this year. We're going to document this process throughout the way. So I'm really excited about this. If you are looking for help on your food plots this year, I recommend Michigan-based, family-owned. You know that, Killer Food Plots, killerfoodplots.com, killerfoodplots.com. I love this Michigan connection. I'm a Michigan guy. I've spent my entire career here. I have no plans to move. I love this state. Do I love everything about it? No, but overall, I love this state and the people. And I love the fact that there are so many people in Michigan who share this outdoor passion and who are willing to do what they can to improve their part of the outdoor world. And I'm thinking specifically of Dave Thomas and the folks at Bowhunter Planet, bowhunterplanet.com. Dave, you guys came up with a concept several years ago now of promoting archery and using online venues to do that. And from the outside, I look at you guys and I say, good job. You've been extraordinarily successful. Congrats.
Thanks, Mike. Yeah, since 2009.
2000, but you were one of the leaders. I mean, when you started this whole concept, there weren't a lot of people doing what you are now.
No, there's only one actually at the time, and then after that, a lot of the people, they call us the OG. They like to call us that now, but we've been doing it so long now, just like yourself, just been in the game a long time. But there's nowadays some of the pro shops are doing their own bow reviews, which is great. I mean, it doesn't affect me at all. My whole thing is more the better. I mean, you might as well. And the landscape of media online has changed so much rapidly, so fast. So, over the years, everything changes constantly with social media and marketing online. You just got to stick with it, and there's just a lot to it, and our whole goal has always been the same, just really get archery, keep it alive, really, and try the best we can to excite new people. And a lot of our marketing has always gone towards new users. We really try to push towards the new user over the people who've been doing it a long time, because a lot of those people just want to go more pro level and get higher and higher. And that's not what we want to always hang out with the amateur. That's our thing. Just get people into it and get them excited.
So you have a chance to put your hands on to shoot almost every new bow every year. What do you like these days? I'll go back to my question before the break. Is there a perfect archery setup for the average Michigan bow hunter? Does it exist? Is there such a thing?
So the funny part about this answer is that it's a lot more affordable than people think. And I know that it seems expensive, and everybody thinks because they see $1,400, $1,500, $2,000. But the fact is, as we talked last time on the show, last year, Bear Archery gives us that discount code to use, and it's still good. It still works today. And they have one of the best bows out there, in my opinion. This bow is $500 with a ready-to-hunt package without the discount code. So just keep that in mind. And then with the discount code, it's even way cheaper. And the code, I'll give it to you again, like last year, is BHP 2025. And next year will be 26, so I know we're a day away. But that's a Species XT. And this bow, to me, is a bow I would personally buy myself. It's a bow that, I believe it fits anybody. And I know there's people with shoulder issues. This is a solo cam, single cam bow. So this is what makes it magical. And it's lightweight. It gets the job done. It's a workhorse type bow. Is it the best bow? Absolutely not. Is it going to have some of the bells and whistles? Actually, it does have some of the bells and whistles, like we talked about earlier with that technology. Not the tuning necessarily, but a lot of the other stuff. So there's a big advantage to that package deal and having a package. But as far as the rest of the bows go, if you still want to be under $1,000 and shoot a different brand, actually yesterday I filmed a video for the Hoyt Enduro, and I was blown away by the performance of the bow. Very fast, carries a lot of the Hoyt technologies on it, not the tuning again, but the other stuff. And it was, I believe it's bare bow retail for $750, which is in my opinion, a great deal for that bow. When I shot it, I was blown away by the performance of that bow. And the other bow that comes to mind instantly is the Prime Ronin. Prime Archery out of Michigan there makes the Ronin, which is about $850, I believe. And that, again, is a great bow. It carries some of their technology on their higher-end bows into the under $1,000 market.
BHP 2026, BHP 2026. That's an online thing only. You can't just walk into a retailer and do that. Okay.
Correct. Yep. It's only if you buy from Bear's website alone. They gave us a discount to help push new users into archery through the online, obviously, because we're an online organization. So, it's a direct-to-consumer sale from Bear Archery.
Gotcha. Dave Thomas, keep up the good work. I respect what you guys are doing. I do keep an eye on most everything that you do. You're a consistent producer of quality content. And we've talked about this before. We've got to get back to White River and do another bear hunt up there.
I know. It was so fun. That's such a great place to film, Mike. It's so beautiful there, too. Just
absolutely.
The content alone.
All right, so we'll work on that. Appreciate your time, Dave. Keep up the good work. Dave Thomas of Bowhunter Planet, bowhunterplanet.com, bowhunterplanet.com. If you want to take advantage of that discount, go to the Bear Archery website and use the promo code BHP2026, BHP2026. You know I'm a big promo code guy. I love my promo codes. We'll take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine Show. When we come back, we'll wrap up this opening hour with Mr. Angler Quest, Brad Dupuie. I ought to see if I can get a promo code out of Brad.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yater Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, The Forward Corporation, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Hammond Drives and Equipment, Garber Chevrolet, the West Branch Visitors Bureau, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction. And welcome to hour number 2 of this week's Outdoor Magazine radio show, the first Outdoor Magazine radio show of the new year, 2026. Happy New Year to you. I always say that I think the best way to listen to the show, if you can, is on your local radio station, your local AM or FM station. Get your local news, weather, sports, even your local ads, your commercials. Maybe there's some sale you want to take advantage of. But if you can't, isn't it nice to know that there's a podcast version of the show that is available? The podcast is exactly the same content. It's just made available somewhere other than your local radio station. And you might ask, well, where is it available then, Avery? And my response would be, well, it's on the website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. It's on my Facebook page, my YouTube channel. And, you know, just about all of the podcast outlets that are out there today, including Spotify, Odyssey, iHeartRadio, all of them. You can find it just about anywhere. I also do podcasts for 3 of my advertising partners, including Offshore Tackle, Angler Quest Pontoons, and Killer Food Plots. Now, we're not doing one this week. We're going to kick them off again with the new year, so keep an ear out for that. Oh, what's going on in our world right now? Well, it is a new year, obviously. I look at this new year, 2026, with excitement. I am excited about not necessarily my hunting or fishing adventures for the year coming up, although I do plan to do as much as I can, as many as I can, have as much fun as I can. But I'm just excited in general about the outdoors here in Michigan today. Is it perfect? Of course not. But do we have a lot to offer? Oh, man, we sure do. When you look at the conservation success stories across Michigan the past several years. Pick a topic. Look at eagles, for example. Boy, we didn't used to have eagles in Michigan. Now we see them everywhere. Everywhere. See eagles every day. Look at the turkey population. Now, are there some parts of our state where there's not as many birds as there were? Yeah, but the population we're still one of the premier turkey hunting states in the country. Fishing opportunities are world class, second to none. And then you take a look at the other types of projects, and I'm thinking of sturgeon right now. Sturgeon were almost gone. You never saw a sturgeon. You never heard of a sturgeon. These days, there are so many sturgeon that we have limited sturgeon seasons. The folks at Sturgeon for Tomorrow have done an excellent job. Jay Woiderski is the guy who is at the head of that organization these days, and he's with us now on the Outdoor Magazine phone line. Jay, welcome back. How are you?
Doing great, Mike. Thank you. How about you?
I'm doing great. Always a pleasure to talk with you. And I do want to talk about sturgeon, but I want to start out talking about spearing, because I understand that you do spear in addition to spearings for sturgeon, right?
Correct, yes.
I was dismayed at a post that I made the other day, and you commented on this. You know what I'm talking about. A guy catches a great big muskie out of, I think it was Burt Lake, and there were some marks on the side of the fish that maybe it had seen a spear before, but the number of people who commented about, spearing being not fair and it was just not the right way to do things. I mean, I've made it very clear I won't put up with such comments on my Facebook page, but just the fact that the overall sentiment is out there is pretty discouraging, isn't it?
It is. You see this in everything we do, though. The bear hunters, the dog or the bait. These guys seem to go after each other pretty hard, and the deer hunters are, the antlers aren't big enough, or you didn't shoot enough does, and everybody has, their way, and their way is the only way, it seems anymore.
Yeah, that's for sure. So what is the appeal of spearing? I haven't done it since I was a kid, but I find it fascinating. Why do you like it, Jay?
Well, just, it's like I tell people. I sit out there in my fish ante, and I have several different types. I have a pop-up hub, and I got a, flip over, and then I got hard shacks, and, you cut a nice hole in the ice, and you're just mesmerized by watching these fish swimming out of that hole. We fish perch, hook and line. We fish walleye, hook and line. And if that opportunity comes along that we can draw on a nice pike or a muskie, well, that opportunity is there. What people don't seem to know is that, that muskie that guy took is a beautiful fish. It's bigger than anything I've gotten in my, 50-some years of fishing out there. I've got a 53 inch, is the biggest I've ever gotten. So it was a wonderful experience for that young fella.
Oh, a huge fish. And people said, well, you shouldn't have taken it out of the gene pool. Look, that fish's genes are in that fishery from the past who knows how many years. He's done, or she has done her part.
Exactly.
So you say you cut a big hole in the ice. So you're not spearing through an 8-inch circle like we use on Saginaw Bay for walleye.
No, a lot of guys strictly are pike fishermen, and there's some guys that are just pursuing pike. They'll go with like a little 2x2 hole or something like that. Most of my fish antes, I cut holes that are about the same thing I would use for my sturgeon fishing at 2.5 by 6 foot.
Well, that's like looking into a pretty good sized TV screen, looking at the bottom of the lake.
Exactly.
So how deep of water can you set up in, Jay? I know your clarity, your visibility in your lakes up there are far better than what I'm used to on Saginaw Bay, but how deep can you effectively drop or throw a spear?
Well, I fish generally in the, say, 16 to 22 feet is my normal range for sitting. And that is mostly because that's what I got used to sitting in primarily for sturgeon back when I was way younger. But I fish, in 4 and 5 feet of water as well, chasing pike and muskie. But most of the time I'm in that 16 to 22 foot.
Is the approach or the program the same for muskies as it is for pike?
Yes, it is. I think that, muskies are more apt to come to a live bait versus a decoy, a wooden decoy kind of thing. So we use more live bait pursuing muskies.
And what is that bait? Is it a sucker?
Suckers, people catch some perch and hang those on a string down there as well. Just a natural food in there.
And so do you hook these, the bait, the live bait, whatever it is, do you hook it so it's still alive, so it's swimming down there?
Yes. Yep.
And when a pike or a muskie comes in, how do they approach it? Do they come out of nowhere and blast it? Do they come in the edge of the hole and stare at it for a while? What's that experience like?
And that happens just about all those ways. I've had fish come in and hit that thing before I could ever react and be gone. And I've had other ones, like I said, that big muskie that I speared was the biggest one I've ever taken. It was laying outside the hole about 10 feet out there and just never came in. So I was really lucky to make that shot. I can tell you that. It was one of those once-in-a-lifetime kind of things that I made it.
So how did you get him then if he didn't come in?
I threw the spear out there.
What does a spear look like? How big is it?
That depends on where you're fishing and how deep you're fishing. I use a heavier spear. It's probably about 12 inches wide, and it has overall length of about 8 feet. So, I don't reach bottom with it. I have a rope on the end of it, and I literally throw the spear.
So you are throwing it. It's not dropping it. It's not heavy enough that the thing will, if you drop it, it wouldn't plane out by itself. You got to put some force behind it.
Yes. I truly am an absolute advocate on putting some force behind it. I wouldn't tell you that if you didn't just drop it, you could stick a fish and hold it if it was straight down. But 99% of the time, you're going to want to throw that.
So is the tip of the spear, is it in the water, or does it make a splash when you throw it?
You always want that tip down in the water. Some guys will have that spear sitting up on the ice, and then you slowly get into the hole far enough to get that full head down below the water line, or it will create that splash and fish will react. Mine I generally have hanging on a hook, and that head is already down in the water.
We're talking with Jay Woiderski of Sturgeon for Tomorrow, and we'll talk about sturgeon after the break here, but the website for Sturgeon for Tomorrow is sturgeonfortomorrow.org, sturgeonfortomorrow.org. I want to continue the conversation after the break, just talking about spearing in general. I think it is a wintertime Michigan tradition. I used to spear pike when I was a kid, 50 years ago, and it was going on for generations before that. I always liked it because it was, you're like, although we didn't have big screen TVs back then, right? But you're looking at a rectangular hole at the bottom of the lake, and it's just amazing to see what comes through there and what's going on. It's just, to me, I think it's an absolutely wonderful activity. And the fact that sturgeon get involved in this too, pretty darn cool. Sturgeonfortomorrow.org, sturgeonfortomorrow.org. More with Jay Woiderski after the break. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Houghton Lake on the Twister 92.1 WTWS. You can hear us in Lansing, WILS 1320 AM. And you can hear us north of the bridge. Let's go to Iron Mountain, way north, WMIQ 1450 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by, that sound. You want to hear it again? I'm going to give it to you again. That's the sound of my Rapid River knife locking back open. I always have a Rapid River knife with me. I did find a very interesting situation over, what was it, Christmas? Yeah, Christmas. We had a Michigan brand ham, and I wanted to carve it. And the knife that we had there in the kitchen wasn't very sharp. Now, I wanted to take out my Mike Avery signature knife and cut it, but I thought I'm not going to do that. So I took one of my Rapid River knife sharpeners, and I drew the kitchen blade through that sharpener. Holy cow, did that thing do the job. So Rapid River is not just for knives. It's for sharpeners. It's for Rapid River apparel. And, of course, the Mike Avery signature knife, proceeds going to Outdoor Driven. Go to the website, rapidriverknifeworks.com. That's rapidriverknifeworks.com. I talked to Chris Durson the other day. He said they're working hard now to rebuild their inventory. Christmas cleaned them out, absolutely wiped them out. Go to the website, rapidriverknifeworks.com. Make your order. Use the promo code MikeAvery15. And if you want to stop by the showroom, it is a beautiful place on US 2 just east of Rapid River. RapidRiverKnifeWorks.com is the website, RapidRiverKnifeWorks.com. Two more websites for you to keep in mind. Mine, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, and SturgeonForTomorrow.org. SturgeonForTomorrow.org, the website of the Sturgeon for Tomorrow group. Jay Woiderski is the president of that group. And, Jay, you've got a big event coming up early February, if I remember right?
February 6th and 7th, we hold our annual Black Lake Sturgeon Shivaree. That's coordinated to time with the shortest fishing season in the world, the Michigan sturgeon season.
Why is it called the shortest fishing season?
Well, because last year our quota was met in 17 minutes. I don't think there's another one in the world that lasts that short a time.
So why is there a quota, and what is that quota?
Well, the quota is 7 fish for us and 7 fish for the natives. Total of 14 fish, and that's based on a strategic planning order that was put together in 1999, and it is based off the population of the fish in the lake.
And how? And we're talking Burt Black or mullet? What are we talking here? Which lake?
We are talking Black Lake.
Black Lake.
And the season is only in Black Lake. At one time, you could fish all 3 lakes, Burt, Black, and Mullet. And then they did some surveys back in the late 90s and found out the population was too low to have a season. And they wanted to shut them all down altogether. Sturgeon for Tomorrow as a group went down there and discussed with the NRC about what could be done to at least not shut it down. So it did survive with a total of 5 fish for a season. And that was for everybody at that time. So we've gone from 5 fish in 2000 was the first year that they put that in, to 14 fish total now. And we're on the cusp of actually being able to raise that again here, I'm sure, not too far down the road.
All right. I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and you know I'm on your side. But some people would say, look, you've done all this work protecting these fish, and now you have a season where you come in and harvest some of them. How do you explain that?
Well, I explain that by telling you that the people that went down there to fight to keep this season open in the first place are all people that fish for sturgeon and were the biggest advocates in the saving of the sturgeon. And that's not only here. That was the Sturgeon for Tomorrow group out of Wisconsin. That's how they originated, and that was 20 years before we did. So, I mean, just like most conservation groups, there's a core that is from the people that use that platform the most. Is, deer hunters support the deer, fishermen support the fish. That's just the way it works.
So let's talk about spearing sturgeon. Is it then a similar setup to what you were talking about for spearing pike and muskies?
It would be pretty much exactly the same. Like I said, my shanties are all set up to have a hole that's at least 2.5 by 6. Some are bigger, and I set up, like I said, traditionally they've speared sturgeon as little as 7 or 8 feet. In Wisconsin, that's quite common because they have a shallow lake over there. But as deep as 30 feet. So,
but your sturgeon are not coming in to hit a decoy or a live bait, right? Because don't they feed on the bottom? They
are bottom feeders, but they are also very curious. They will approach a decoy hanging halfway down, 3/4 way down, and that is pretty much the same thing. We put down customarily it's always been about a 14 to 16 inch white decoy. Looks like a fish. And it just sits there and slowly spins or sits right still. and the fish come up, I think, more out of curiosity.
So what's it like to be looking through the ice and have a 4-foot dinosaur swim underneath you?
It's pretty exciting. Whether you're looking to spear that or you're not, it is absolutely wonderful to see those things come through the hole. I mean, the biggest one I ever have taken come out of Mullet Lake, and that was 115 pounds. So
Jeez.
Pretty good fish to look at.
That is incredible.
Yep, it was quite the experience. I can tell you that. It will get you. Deer hunting has no buck fevers, nothing compared to this.
How so?
Well, just you don't see sturgeon nearly as often as you see deer in the woods. You know what I mean? You're always looking for that one trophy buck, or most people are.
Yeah.
And you see deer and does and small bucks and things like that, and a lot of people are willing to take all those. But with sturgeon, it's kind of always been they were so rare to see when I first started fishing sturgeon that you might only see one every couple of years. So it's that big thrill. It's absolutely an adrenaline rush.
Is there a size limit on them, Jay?
No, there is not. There used to be, and the reason we took that off was because of the situation the population is in, or was in, is that we would just as soon, these younger fish we know are in much more abundance than the bigger fish. They are not the primary spawners in the system, and there's more of those because, obviously with the DNR MUCC and our help, they've been planting fish in there for a long time. So we know there's a lot of younger fish in there, and we'd rather take them out to not be a detriment to the population.
So how does this work? If you can only take 7 fish and you've got, hundreds of anglers out there in shanties and shacks with spears, how do you make sure you don't go over? And somebody might, they're not trying to violate, but how do you know when the season's over and you don't spear accidentally after it's over?
Well, we have a couple different systems in place. When you register, you have to turn in your phone number to the DNR. The DNR handles all the registrations. They send out a text every time a fish is reported, and the reported fish is because they have DNR officers and DNR personnel from all over the state out there on the ice, standing in vicinity of the shanties. And so as soon as you spear a fish, you need to notify who's ever out there on the ice so they can call it in, and they will send out a text. Sturgeon number 1 was taken, sturgeon number 2. And when we get to that 6th fish, it is cut off at 6, just in case we do have that situation where somebody else has a fish that didn't get reported quick enough. Mm-hmm. And our limit is 7. Then at that point, that text is sent out, and the personnel on the lake run around and notify everybody personally. We have people out there all over the lake to do that, and hopefully we can get it shut down in time. I mean, with 500 people potentially being on the lake, we have almost 700 people registered, but not everybody that registers is on the lake to fish. But it was probably close to 500 people actually on the lake that needed to be notified the season was over.
So what is it like when you drop a spear or throw a spear into a sturgeon? Is it a fight like I would expect, where you just hang on and hope you don't get pulled in the hole?
That is one of the scenarios. I will tell you, my father speared a 169-pounder that was about 50 minutes of exactly that. My cousin Todd Zeller, he speared a 178-pounder and had spined that fish. There was no fight to it. So it just depends on where it's hit and how it's hit.
So is there a hook and line fishery or season for your sturgeon at all?
There is, but not up here. There is nothing in northern Michigan other than Otsego Lake, which is down by Gaylord. There's a hook and line season there. There's also one up in the St. Mary's River. There is no keeping of fish there. There's another one up in the Keweenaw Peninsula. There's no keeping of fish there. And then obviously you have the Wisconsin-Michigan boundary waters. There is a season there with a one fish limit. Otsego Lake has a one fish limit. St. Clair River has a one fish limit. I think those are pretty much all the seasons in the state. The only places that it's legal to even target to try to catch a sturgeon.
I find it interesting, though, that in, say, the Saginaw River, the folks walleye fishing, it's not unusual at all anymore for those folks to hook a sturgeon.
Well, that's been another great success story. You know, I mean, Saginaw Bay was, you know, they hadn't recorded catching a sturgeon in, I think it was 35 years, until the planting started 7 years ago now, I believe it was. And, you know, our fish, the Black Lake fish, we put in about 500 up from up here, and the St. Clair group down there, those come out of the Genoa hatchery in Wisconsin. They put in another 5. So there's 1,000 fish going into that system every year right now. It's been 7 years. So,
well, Jay Woiderski of Sturgeon for Tomorrow, the website sturgeonfortomorrow.org, sturgeonfortomorrow.org. Keep up the good work in promoting sturgeon, in promoting spearing, in promoting the outdoors. You're one of the good guys, and your group is making a difference. So I appreciate your time. Good luck. Have fun, buddy.
Thank you, Mike. And as we had discussed one other time here a while back, I asked you about your Mike Avery signature knives, and I'm working with Matt up there at Rapid River to order 2 that we can put our emblem on and use them as raffle items. And so thank you very much for that.
Perfect. That'll be great. Jay Woiderski, Sturgeon for Tomorrow, sturgeonfortomorrow.org. We'll take a break. When we come back, Mike Mitchell, the interim CEO of Michigan United Conservation Clubs. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Houghton Lake on 98.5 WUPS. You can hear us in Sandusky, WMIC 660 AM, 95.3 FM. And you can hear us north of the bridge in Escanaba, WCHT 600 AM, 93.5 FM. I have been partnered with MUCC, Michigan United Conservation Clubs, for the past several years. It is a group that I have partnered very closely with. In fact, done the Mike Avery charity golf outing to raise funds for their youth camp. I think they are a great organization. I support them completely, and will continue to do so. The organization is going through some changes, and there are a lot of questions about where MUCC is today and where MUCC is going. Mike Mitchell is the interim director of MUCC, and he's the guy that fields a lot of these questions about what's up, Mike, and where we're going. And I've got him on the Outdoor Magazine phone line now to answer that and more. Mike, welcome back to the show. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mike.
Hey,
wish everybody Happy New Year out there.
Happy New Year, and we are recording this on the 31st, so deer season is still open, and I understand you were in the woods this morning. Any luck?
Actually, I lost, the wind got me, so I lost the lean-to to the back of my building here at home, so I did not hunt.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. Boy, Mother Nature has been something else this last week, hasn't she?
Yes, it has been.
Man. So let's talk about MUCC, Mike. You are the interim director. It is not your intent to be the permanent director. Is that correct?
That is accurate, yes.
So is there a search going on now actively to find a permanent director?
Yes, we initially worked internally and have 5 candidates that have come to our attention through different means, and we have done some preliminary talk, but we have now enlisted the services of an executive search firm, the Last Light Search Group, who has a fairly significant outdoor background as well as being an executive search, and is currently conducting a nationwide search for the next CEO/executive director. Had my first phone call with them this week to review a handful of candidates that they've identified for reasons of respecting these candidates' privacy. Almost all of them are currently employed, so it's not fair to mention names.
No, I wouldn't ask you that.
Even organizations where they might come from.
No, I wouldn't ask you that.
It is an active search now.
But the new director might come from outside of Michigan.
It's possible, yes, sir.
Okay.
We're not narrowing that field.
When would you hope to have this filled, Mike?
Our target date would be no later than April 1, and we're hoping even by the time of convention in late February.
Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice to have it in place, have that person in place by convention?
No one would like it better than I.
So you mentioned you've gone to an outside agency to do the search for the CEO. You have turned, you being MUCC, has turned to outside agencies for some of the stuff that you used to do internally. What's the thinking there, Mike?
We're looking for experts in these fields. We have turned to an organization, RDM Associates for our accounting. They specialize in not-for-profit. They represent not-for-profit organizations anywhere from $1 million to several $100 million. They are experts in basically all the accounting aspects within the not-for-profit world and can help us really optimize the revenue that we do receive and make sure that we keep every dime we can and use it wisely.
Is that what this is all about, financially, and trying to get MUCC on a better financial footing? Is that what started this whole thing?
It absolutely is. There was a line drawn in the sand that we could not drop below a certain amount without making some drastic moves. Over the last 18 to 24 months, we spent a lot of efforts trying to stabilize the financial aspect of MUCC. We reached a point where drastic actions had to be taken, and that's what we're doing right now. And, I want to apologize to all of the MUCC folks out there for the lack of communication, but with respect to the people we've been involved with, sometimes communication can hinder these processes and also compromise our ability to get the best people in those specific core skills to talk to us.
Well, Mike, hang tight. I got to take a break here in the Outdoor Magazine show. We're talking with Mike Mitchell, who is the interim CEO, Chief Executive Officer of MUCC, Michigan United Conservation Clubs. After the break, I want to talk with Mike about, okay, how do they change things financially? And I hear one of the things they want to do is look at other groups other than the hardcore hook and bullet group. So what does this do to MUCC, and why should we, as hardcore hook and bullet people, still be a member of the group? Is it still for us? So I think they're walking a little bit of a tightrope here, and I support them. I'm behind them all the way. I think that they are a wonderful organization, and they will continue to have my support. I just want to get through these next few months, as does everybody else. MUCC.org, MUCC.org. We'll take a break. When we come back, wrap up this hour with Mike Mitchell, then looking into hour number 3, Mark Martin talking about ice fishing and more, and, of course, wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Holland on WHTC 1450 AM, 99.7 FM. You can hear us in Port Huron, WPHM 1380 AM, and north of the bridge in Manistee, WTIQ 1490 AM, 95.3 FM. The Ask Avery question, the Ask Avery segment brought to you each week by the good folks at Security Credit Union. Security Credit Union loves to work with outdoors men and women, and they want to help you with your next outdoor adventure. Check them out online at securitycu.org, securitycu.org. This week's Ask Avery question is an Avery asking questions of another Mike, Mike Mitchell, the interim CEO of MUCC, Michigan United Conservation Clubs, a group I am a member of, a group that I have supported for the last couple of years, several years, and will continue to support. Mike, appreciate your time. A couple things I want to follow up on. I have heard or read or something, somehow I got this idea that one of the ways of putting MUCC on a better financial footing is to reach out to other groups other than Hook and Bullet. Number one, is that true? And how does that all work?
That is true, Mike. This team, we've wrestled with how to best address the business challenges while continuing, to do the important work on behalf of the Michigan sportsmen and women. And while MUCC, we're not changing our mission. Our mission is still the commitment to conserve Michigan's outdoor heritage. That remains unchanged. But what has changed is the stakeholders that are involved. When MUCC was formed, you look back 87 years ago, Michigan had a very large population of hunters, trappers, and anglers. Today, we don't have those numbers. They're declining, and without some internal action, may continue to decline. So that's where we're focused in looking at the folks that still enjoy the outdoors but aren't the traditional hook and bullet. But we also need to honor and respect our core constituencies who built MUCC.
Yeah, this is kind of the tightrope I was. This is the tightrope I was talking about. You need to look outside for additional types of members over what you've had in the past, but you don't want to alienate your core people who built MUCC to begin with.
Correct. Yep. We're looking. We need to backfill that pipeline. I'm of an older generation, not unlike, I was born in the 50s. And biggest concern is, where are the next passionate people who want to dedicate their time to the conservation world and to making sure people can enjoy it, and where are they coming from? And a lot of them aren't traditional hook and bullet. We're starting to see mountain bikers and hikers and campers and things like that. And so do we need to expand our horizon and work cooperatively with them? And that's the challenge that we're facing, because we still want to honor the folks that got us here.
So should a hardcore hook and bullet person like me and much of our audience, why should we still stay a member of MUCC?
Well, without the support of our current memberships, we won't be able to effectively advocate for conservation and build for future generations, so that we all have the opportunity. Without that support, MUCC will struggle to exist.
Convention is coming up. When is that? When in February, Mike?
The convention is the third weekend in February at the show place. Starts Saturday. It's a Saturday, Sunday. It's during Outdoorama.
I think that's a very interesting strategy right there, to put it during Outdoorama and to change the format of the convention itself a little bit to actually use that as a way to bring people in.
We're doing that, and for the first time in my knowledge anyway, we're having a fundraising dinner on Saturday night with a guest speaker from the National Deer Association, Kip Adams, and we are looking at not only having a good time and enjoying ourselves, but also raising money to support the conservation efforts.
So what kind of a timetable are we working with here, Mike? When will we see what MUCC is going to look like in the future?
I think that the folks, it will become very apparent probably within a month or a month and a half after convention. Things have really started to put in place. We have aligned ourselves with accounting services. We've aligned ourselves recently with a marketing and communication firm that is Michigan-based, the Rusted Rooster, and Jason Brown out of Midland. And Bill Jackson and Graham Filler from McCalvey Associates out of Lansing is supporting us with the lobbying. So we are starting to align ourselves with some very well-respected and highly successful organizations to help guide us to that point. And contracts have been signed, and we're working cooperatively with them. Most of them are going to be fully on board January 1, and then we look for the next CEO, and hopefully that person is coming on in February.
All right, Mike. The website, mucc.org, mucc.org. You know, sorry, that you have my support. I am concerned, like many others are, about the future. You are concerned yourself, so it's not bad to bring up that concern, because we have a passion for MUCC, we have a passion for the outdoors, we have a passion for the cause. So, thank you for what you're doing to keep that commitment going, and you and I will stay in touch, and we'll see where this all takes us.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mike. I really appreciate you standing with MUCC during this transition period, and I appreciate everyone who's standing with MUCC.
Time now for Michigan's #1 outdoor radio show, Mike Avery's Outdoor Magazine. Mike Avery has covered the outdoors in Michigan for more than 4 decades, and that tradition continues today. Outdoor Magazine is brought to you by Jay's Sporting Goods, the Yater Insurance Group, Angler Quest Pontoons, The Forward Corporation, Security Credit Union, Offshore Tackle, Hammond Drives and Equipment, Garber Chevrolet, the West Branch Visitors Bureau, Rapid River Knife Works, and by Michigan Brand Meats. Now, here's Mike Avery.
Well, thank you, Ken Hunter, for that introduction, and welcome to hour number 3, the first hour number 3 of the Outdoor Magazine radio show for the new year 2026. Happy New Year to you. I have high hopes for this year. I really do. I'm just excited about a lot of things going on in our state. Some things I'm nervous about. Yeah, absolutely. I can't deny that. Is everything on the horizon here in Michigan perfect? No. But there's nowhere else I would rather live. I love this state. I love our history and tradition of the outdoors. And, I did not make any New Year resolutions, because I think resolutions are made to be broken. Do I have some goals? Of course. I want to spend more time on the water. I want to spend more time in the woods. I want to do as much as I can to continue to promote the outdoor lifestyle. Drilling down a little bit, I want to take some of these old videos that I have, and I was going through some archives the other day. This is a good time of year to do this, right? Kind of take stock of where you've been and what you got coming up. And I have a pretty good archive of old shows and old segments and old fishing trips and old hunting trips and old Dixie Dave recipes. And I want to, I'll use the term recycle, and get these out available online so people can see them again. And as I was going through these old videos, I found a trip, a fishing trip with Mark Martin. I mean, we're going way, way, way back. And it was very special because this trip was with my dad, Jerry, who's no longer with us. And he's the guy who taught me how to hunt and fish. And to see video from this fishing trip in Muskegon Lake, the Muskegon Channel, with my dad and Mark Martin, and my dad just thought the world of Mark Martin. I mean, everybody who knows Mark does. It was just very, very cool to see that. And that's one of the shows, one of the segments that I will, resurrect in 2026 and, put out online so you can see them. But it got me thinking about how I've known Mark forever and the different fishing adventures that we've been on and the number of times I've had him on the show. And it just seemed like a good time of year to get Mark back on and talk about a variety of things. And he is always very generous with his time, and he has agreed to join me once again. Mark, welcome back to the show. Happy New Year to you. How are you?
Hey, Happy New Year to you too, Mike. I always enjoy being, with your fans and everything and just talking with everybody. But I'm doing really good. Just got back from California. I'm glad I'm back here. Like you said, no place better to be than here.
I'm not even going to ask you about California. That's not.
Right.
I've been there, and I don't care to go back. I mean, nothing against our friends in California, but Hey, do you remember that trip with my dad years ago?
Yes, I do. Just like it was yesterday. I remember all of our trips, every place we ever went. I mean, we go back to when we were kids, Mike.
I know it. We were both a little younger then, weren't we?
Yeah, just slightly. I hope we're smarter, though.
I hope so, too. Hey, when you look back on this career, did you ever think as a kid growing up in Muskegon that your life and your career would unfold the way it did?
No, but I always, I hoped that it did. I always had that in my heart, that I wanted, ever since my dad, had a reel-to-reel tape player and asked my sister and I what we wanted to do. I was 5. And I told him I wanted to be a fisherman, and he said, well, you better look at being a doctor, lawyer. So here, let me talk to your sister a little bit more. I never changed my mind. And when I won the world championship and came back to my house, my family had a big party for me, and he had that reel-to-reel there. He played it. Nobody else ever heard it except my sister, my mom, and of course, my dad and myself, and everybody just sat there and listened to it. And he turned it off, and he looked right across the table at me, and I'll never forget it to this day. Just like that trip we took with your dad and had fun. He looked me in my eyes and said, I could be wrong, Mark. For your dad to that had to be hard on him, but he knew that. Well, maybe my son is going to be a fisherman.
When you won that first professional walleye national championship, and a lot of people said at the time, Mark's a good stick, but he can't fish during the daytime. He's only a good nighttime troller. Well, you shut people up, and that did really open the door to so many things, didn't it?
Oh, it did. It did. Because I believed in my heart. And that's what, I go around to schools and I tell these kids, do you want to be a I'm in there as a professional athlete when I'm talking, and when you want to be a hockey player, baseball, whatever. And, a lot of them think that, they get disappointed just like I could have when I was 5. My dad telling me, well, you better, think about something else, and I kind of go with them. And, I've had kids come back to me, where I've went into their school and did a big talk in an auditorium, and they became, what they wanted to be, hockey players. I can remember one and a baseball player. I can't remember their names, but, to get that, or I see them, they'll come to me when I'm at a show. That's where they came to me way back when. And so you got to encourage the younger people that if they believe in themselves, there's no better person. Keep it in your heart and keep that dream alive. And as long as you keep it alive in your heart and you live in America, you can be anything you want to be.
It sounds so cliche, but it is. It's true. Is it true even today, Mark? I mean, and the point I'm trying to get to here is, like, in your world, professional angler, it's not enough just to be a good fisherman. You got to be a good promoter. You've got to be a good advertising partner. There's so much more to it, isn't there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to do it all, just like you said, Mike, and a good teacher, and that's kind of, if you can take what you've learned and made mistakes at and got better at doing, and then further that and help other people, and they can progress with their life, they're going to be enriched and they're going to be better in that sport or that, whatever they're wanting to be, that particular, job, they're going to make that job better, but they're going to contribute to life in general for the rest of us a lot better. They're going to make leaps and bounds, and that's what I see, in my career that I've taken, that it's helping people. I'm not worried about the next big fish. I know it'll happen. I worry about passing it on to future generations, and somebody's got to do it, and somebody's got to help. You can't keep all this. People say secrets, don't tell nobody, don't tell. I want to tell people because I want them to have as much fun as I've had in my lifetime, and it all begins with mentors, and it all starts with people that know more than you do, and they put a little time and effort into you, and you get better, and now it's time you give back.
So when you walk on the water or head out on the water or walk on the ice these days, you're not concerned about being able to catch fish, right? You know that you're going to catch fish, and you're going to catch a good number of fish, and you're going to catch some big fish. That's a given. Right.
That's kind of how I take it. I'm sure I'm going to have a skunk here and there still. It's just inevitable. But I go out with the positivity in my head that I got all my equipment in a row. I know where the fish should be, and I know at the time of year, and I know what I got to do to extract those fish out of there. Now let's take these people that I got going with me and do the same with. And by the time I'm done with them 3 days later, they're dang near as good as I am.
Do you ever just go fishing by yourself for fun anymore, or are there always other people involved?
There's always other people involved. I guess, it may start out, I'm going to go fish the pond over here by myself. But before long, I've talked to a couple friends and tell them can I go? Can I bring? It's a party type atmosphere, and the more people you have that around you, it's going to be more fun. You can they're going to be enthralled with what they're going to be doing, and I like to see the excitement on other people's face. And I still am excited and everything about it, but I get more excitement out of watching somebody else have excitement.
Hang tight, Mark. We're talking with Mark Martin. His website, markmartins.net. Markmartins.net. A lot of things I want to talk with Mark about, including, ice fishing, of course, his upcoming fishing vacation schools, his appearance at the Ultimate Fishing Show, you name it. When you talk with Mark Martin, there's a lot to cover. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Ludington on News 97, 98, 98.7 WLDN. And you can hear us in Traverse City on WTCM 580 AM. This segment of Outdoor Magazine brought to you by a company, in fact, you just heard a spot for, Hammond Drives and Equipment. I love this motto. I love this slogan. If you need something to keep your business in business, check out Hammond Drives and Equipment. They are a Michigan-based family-owned company. You know I love that. Farmer, contractor, landscaper, maintenance supervisor. If you need hydraulic hoses, fittings, with more than 30 years in business, they've got a warehouse full of hoses, fittings, elbows, adapters, air, water, chemical, petroleum, hydraulic hoses, low to extreme pressure, fractional sizes. They're in Freeland, but they do business across the state. Check out their showroom on M47 just north of town. Go to their website, hammondeqp.com. Or I've got to give you the phone number because Bill loves phone numbers, 989-695-2239, 989-695-2239. I love to partner with Michigan-based family-owned companies. Hammond Drives and Equipment, certainly one of those companies. Also love to talk with Michigan people, like Mark Martin. His website, markmartins.net, markmartins.net. Mark, do you have the fishing vacation schools, all of the ice fishing schools? Are those all locked in for the year?
Yeah, they are. Now we're going to actually have ice this year. Knock on wood, quick.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a different start than it has been in the last few years, that's for sure. We're praying for it, and hoping it stays, or, looking for a miracle, So No, we got Saginaw Bay and Mullet Lake here on the roster for this year, and looking forward to doing that. I put Saginaw Bay before Mullet Lake this year too.
You did. That was a gutsy move.
Oh, yeah, I know it was. We did it last year and got away with it. So this year I feel even a little more confident than I did last year. But because they're actually out there on Saginaw Bay. But that's going to be January 25th through 28th for Saginaw Bay, out of Linwood Beach Marina. That's where we're going to be stationed at. And then Mullet Lake on February 8th to the 11th. And we'll be out of the Best Western over there, and at the marina right there, Jack's Marina, at the end of or the beginning of the river to go into Lake Huron. Right there, we'll be at that end of the lake, the east end. So we're going to have a good time, and and my guys, they're all looking for it big time, and some of them, we caught so many giant perch last year out of mullet. They're going, geez, I wonder how many guys that will want to just fish perch, because I want to. They're walleye fishermen, and now because they caught so many giant perch, they want to concentrate on them. So there's going to be some of my pro staff that are going to concentrate on them. Some will want burbot, some will want walleye. So there's going to be a potpourri for the students that come to the Mullet Lake, and like I do, at all of them, if you want to go over here with, say, Brandon, you get behind Brandon in the morning. You want to go here with Andrew, you want to go with Ken, you want to go, so everybody is always in line every morning when we take off. And they know where they're going to go. They know who they're going to fish with. They know the area they're going to fish, and they got an idea of what they're going to catch just by going with the pros that I have.
So how do these schools work? Are they a 3-day school, a 2-day? Do you have to have your own sled, your own gear? What's the setup?
Well, you can have your own stuff, but there is opportunities just to sit down on the back of a pro's machine for $175 a day and sit in their heated ice shack and rub elbows with them all day long. And if they go around and check other people around their site, you can go with them too and see what they're doing and see how he's teaching them. So there's a lot of variety. Or if you want just a ride out and back, that's possible too for a $75 a day, where you get on the back with a pro, but they tow your shanty out, and help you set it up out there in the general vicinity of where they are. And then there's where you're on you got your own sled, you got your own tent, you got your own everything, and then you're just get in behind the pro that you want to go fish in an area with, fish for a certain variety of fish, and then set up and be right in that general area with your own equipment. So there's a variety of ways that we try to be accommodating to everybody.
And then when you're down at the sports shows, I'm thinking of the Ultimate Fishing Show in Novi.
Yeah.
Are you doing all ice fishing seminars? Is that what it is?
Well, that's kind of what we start out with, but we do talk about open water. And because we're going to be at that show, there's going to be some of my pro staff there, and they usually want to come in and help out in my seminar. So coming to the Ultimate Sports Show, you're not only going to come and hear me speak, they're just going to, if my pro staff are there, they're going to be in the same room. So you're going to get a variety of seminars out of a Mark Martin seminar from my pros, their perspective. You can ask them questions. You can get information from them, because a lot of them have their own guide services too. But, they're well-versed at fishing as well as I am. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on my staff.
Sure. What is the mindset when you're ice fishing as opposed to open water? How are you looking at a day on the water or on the ice differently? Because obviously your mobility is somewhat limited when you're ice fishing, right?
Right. You can't just pick up and go over here and then pick up and go over there. You have to teach people how to sometimes call a fish over to them with proper techniques, and whereas you can move over to the fish either, with forward-facing sonar. Yeah, and there's people that come with their forward-facing sonar to the schools too, and we teach them how to use it. But then, do you want to really go over that way? If you want to, you might have to leave your tent and fish out in the open, because that way is the only way you can be somewhat mobile. But the thing is, between ice fishing and open water, we're always got our ears and eyes open, because it's safety first, and you got to know if a crack is going to open up. You got to know if a crack did open up. You got to know what the wind direction is going, and when you feel the wind switch, you got to have the wherewithal of making a proper decision for everybody. Hey, we have to leave, or hey, when we do leave, we got to go this way this time. So there's a lot more decision making in the wintertime than there is in open water.
Well, let's talk about the process or the concept of calling fish into where you are when you're ice fishing. Like, how do you do it, and how far away, if you've got fish 100 yards away, can you call them in? I mean, what's the distance?
Oh, yeah, you can. That's not a problem. Especially with this forward-facing sonar, we've seen how far we can, as far as we can see with a forward-facing sonar under the ice, a certain direction. If you choose a lure that's heavy enough that you can pound on the bottom, and bam, 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 they can feel it. They can sense it, because they go, oh, there's something to eat over there, or there's somebody's eating over there. I better hurry up and get there before the meal ticket's gone. So you make noise down there on the bottom, and that's how they feed. They root around and go over and start picking gobies up, or they start whatever's on the bottom, worms, whatever. They're tapping on the bottom themselves, the fish do. So if you take a heavy enough lure, that a lighter lure, you're not going to call them from a greater distance, but you take a heavy lure, maybe bigger than you want to be fishing for these fish, but you use, say, a half-ounce Cleo. Well, they're going to be coming in from 100 yards, and you got to, when you start seeing them, they'll come to those big lures, but you're not precisely going to catch them on them. Reel them up, put the right size lure down there. Now that you got their attention and that you brought them into your little area, that you're going to catch them. So there's these little tricks that you've learned by. That's why I have the pro staff I have. They are adept at these things. So when they're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing, and we're all seeing the same thing, now it becomes fact. That this is how we got to do it. So
how long would you give a spot on the ice before you move?
Oh, let's say I would say 45 minutes. It's gonna, you got to have the fish are moving all the time. You got to give it a fair shot, because it's sometimes. Well, I should say sometimes the weather's so nasty out there on the ice and so brutal that you can't move. We can't. In fact, there's sometimes every 2 hours we got to make the people, if they brought their own equipment, have to have them start their own four-wheeler and snowmobile every few hours, so we don't run into a bad situation where they're. So sometimes calling these fish in from a distance is the only way, and it works really good. I remember a few times on Gogebic, it was 20 some below zero. We could not, I got freezer burn. My pro staff got freezer burn. We weren't going to have the students get freezer burn, and we knew it would happen because they weren't prepared as well as us, and we didn't want something. So we would go and get them, have them start their machines every 2 hours, or tell them to do that, and then we would teach them how to call in. And we probably had one of the best schools, and it was 20-some below zero with them calling their own fish in. Yeah,
Mark, listen, I got to let you go. I will send people to your website, markmartins.net, markmartins.net, to sign up for the fishing vacation schools, the ice fishing schools. And I would encourage people to go to the Ultimate Fishing Show in Novi and check out your seminar there. Always a pleasure, my friend. You and I will talk again soon.
Thanks, Mike. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Mark Martin, markmartins.net, markmartins.net. You can hear the Outdoor Magazine show in Manistee on WMLQ 97.7 FM. And you can hear us on the other side of the state, Saginaw, WSGW 790 AM 100.5 FM. I'm in the studios of WSGW right now. For these 3 hours, I call this one corner of the building the Outdoor Magazine studio. And so far, nobody, well, except for Jonathan Dent. John fights me on this every week. I walk in the studio and I can see him. He doesn't think I can see him. But he's like, oh man, Avery's back. He wants my studio. Unlike Charlie Root, who Charlie welcomes me with open arms. I'm in here with Charlie right now. Charlie, I don't know how to break this to you, buddy, but there is nobody in the parking lot right now. I mean, do you blame him? No. The way the weather is right now, nobody is showing up chanting, Charlie, Charlie, Charlie. I tease young John Dent, but I think the world of him. I think the world of Charlie, too. Both these guys are great guys, and they are very important to the Outdoor Magazine franchise. So, Charlie, thank you. John, thank you. John can't hear me right now, but I appreciate that, guys. Appreciate that very much. You know what else I appreciate? I appreciate the fact that you, as a listener, can hear my voice right now. Whether you're listening to the broadcast version of the show or the podcast version of the show, I would not be able to do this as long as I have without your support. It's been an interesting career for me. You know, back in the days of television news, and then the TV show, and then the TV show and radio, and now just radio and podcasting and social media. I think we've got a pretty good thing going, don't we? Do you and I always agree? Of course not. Of course not. It would be weird if we did. If you came up to me and says, Mike Avery, I agree with everything you say, everything you stand for, I'm like, have you heard the show? Have you heard everything? Because it's just human nature that we are not going to agree on everything. In fact, sometimes we're going to butt heads. And what you think is right and what I think is right are going to be two different things. And it doesn't matter. As long as we handled them in a, I don't want to say professional manner, but a respectful manner. A couple of weeks ago here on the show, I was talking about the fact that I am firmly convinced that the biggest threat to the hunting lifestyle today is the infighting. I shouldn't say the biggest. One of the biggest threats is the infighting in the hunting community. And somebody said, you know, it's not just hunting, it's fishing as well. And I thought, well, yeah, I guess so. But boy, I really had this hit home this past week when I posted a picture of a very, very nice muskie that came out of, I think it was Burt Lake. And the guy who caught the fish legally decided to harvest that fish, to take that fish home and get it mounted. And the comments, you were right. There is as much division and meanness and rudeness and ignorance in the hunting, in the fishing world today as there is the hunting world. And I just can't wrap my brain around this. With everything that we have going on in the world today and the threats that we have against our way of life, man, It seems absolutely crazy to me that somebody would want to give a guy grief, or a gal, a woman, because they legally decided to harvest a muskie, to kill a muskie. There was nothing illegal about that. I honestly, I just don't get it. And as a follow-up to that, this post had like 300 and some comments, and I went through there, and I bet you I deleted and banned probably 30, 40, 50 people. Now, you might say that's censorship. You might say, Avery, they have a right to express their feelings. You know what? They don't. They have a right to express their feelings on their Facebook page. Say whatever you want. I don't care. I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to come to your Facebook page. I don't care what you do. But when I have social media outlets, venues that are a direct reflection on me and my company and my franchise, Mike Avery Outdoors and Outdoor Magazine, I will not allow you to use my social media venues as a way for you to further your negativity and your negative comments towards fellow hunters or anglers. And you folks who said, Avery, just hang on. Sooner or later, you're going to post the right picture, and you're going to see what I mean about the fishermen as well. I keep wanting to go back. Can't we all just get along? I'm not taking it to that point. We're not going to agree. We're not going to agree on everything. We're not going to agree on a lot of things. But can we just agree that that we will do our best to support our fellow legal hunters and anglers? There's no sense opening up. Anyway, I'm going to move on here. We're going to wrap up this week's show with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. I do not know what Dave has planned for this week, but I'm kind of hoping that it's another one of the recipes that I have video of. Last week was a venison stew. I reached back into the archives. I think it was from 1986. And I found the video version of Dave's venison stew recipe. I posted it, and you loved it. So I can't guarantee that's going to happen every week, but we'll see. I have no control over what Dave does. I think it's been proven. We'll see how this week turns out. Welcome back to this first Outdoor Magazine radio show of 2026. You probably know by now that I like to wrap up each week's show with wild game chef extraordinaire Dixie Dave Minar. Last week did something a little bit different, something new, something I plan to continue throughout this year. As I was going through some old video archives, I came across a bunch of old Dixie Dave recipes. So I've compiled them all into one folder on my desktop so I can easily access them. And last week, Dave did a venison stew recipe. And as I'm looking in this folder, I find the video for venison stew. So I posted that video, and people absolutely loved it. So whenever I can, whenever Dave's recipes coincide with video that I have, I'm going to post it. And Dave, I think that's very, very cool.
It is, boy. I'll tell you what. I don't think anybody has ever done that in the past.
Well, who else have you worked with besides me? Come on now.
Oh, I know.
So, yeah, I did the venison stew. I mean, I went back to the mid-'80s to find it, but boy, all the comments were positive. People said, oh, it's so nice to see this. I hope to see more. We can't promise it every week, Dave, so I don't know. I mean, you said you were telling Charlie, page 125 of the cookbook. I don't know what that is. What did we got this week?
We have venison stroganoff.
Venison stroganoff. That's not ringing a bell. I don't know if I have video. If I do, I'll post it, but let's hear the recipe.
Okay, so I took this actually from a really old cookbook, and it's called Count Paul. It's kind of a Germanic take on a venison dish. So you need about 2 pounds of venison, 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, a medium onion diced fine, the garlic diced fine, a couple of tablespoons of butter, half a pound of mushrooms, sliced thin, a cup of sour cream. This has very limited ingredients, but it really comes out wonderful. Terry and I made this for supper a couple of nights ago from her 8-point buck that she got this year. So you're going to cut the meat across the grain in strips and set that aside. Saute the garlic and onions and a couple of 3 tablespoons of butter for about 4 or 5 minutes, just to break the flavor loose. You don't want to brown it off or anything like that. So you don't want very hot pan. So then you're going to add the sliced mushrooms and cook an additional 3 to 5 minutes, and then place that on the side in a bowl. Wipe the pan out with a paper towel and heat the pan back up to pretty high heat. Add a small amount of olive oil or whatever kind of oil you like. Add the meat and saute, browning it on all sides. And then you're going to, after you get that all nicely browned up and kind of caramelized, you're going to add the mushrooms, the onions, and the brown sauce, and hold off on the sour cream until after you stop boiling it, because it might clabber, might curdle. So add some more of the butter and then simmer it for about 4 or 5 minutes, just enough to finish cooking it. And then you can put a little salt and pepper to taste if you like. And then after it stops boiling, add the sour cream and stir that in, incorporate that real nice. And it really does a wonderful flavor booster. And then spoon it over hot noodles. And maybe, if you like, you could put a little dash of paprika, maybe. I don't know. Something like that.
Sounds like a wonderful dish for the weather we're having right now.
Really, Terry and I had this the other night, and it come out really, really good. We used backstrap meat. Now, if you were going to use leg meat, I might say to simmer for an hour or so, before you put the sour cream in it, and then it'll have tender that meat.
Sounds like you might have some help in the kitchen this morning, Dave.
Yeah, right, the dog.
And these are no ordinary dogs. These are not little 30-pound dogs, are they?
No, they're Irish Wolfhounds. My boy is about 160.
Oh, man. Yeah, Charlie's mouth just dropped. Yeah, they're big dogs. All right, David, always a pleasure. Happy New Year to you, buddy, and I look forward to getting more of those videos back out online this year as well.
Okay, maybe we'll do a fish recipe next week.
Fish? Okay. All right, that sounds good. If you've got it, we'll post it.
While I knew Orleans was on the list, wasn't it?
Well, if not, it should be. I'd love to find that one. All right, David, we'll see what we can do for next week, but people seem to enjoy this, as they do enjoy hearing you, Dave Minar, each week on the Outdoor Magazine radio show. Thanks, buddy, and Happy New Year to you.
You too, everybody else. Happy New Year. Be safe and sane out there.
I was waiting for that. If you wouldn't have said that, I was going to be disappointed. Wild Game Chef Dixie Dave Minar, a big part of the Outdoor Magazine show. Thanks for being with me throughout all these years. Thank you for helping me kick off 2026. Let's make it a good year. Hope you get a chance to be outside as much as possible, hunting, fishing, shooting, trapping. If not, if you're following things online, following the adventures of other people, let's be civil. At least on my page. It's going to happen on my page. My name is Mike Avery. My website, MikeAveryOutdoors.com, MikeAveryOutdoors.com. My email address is Mike@MikeAveryOutdoors.com. I would love to hear from you. Let me know what's on your mind. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, what you're sick of hearing about, what you'd like to hear more about. It's Mike, MikeAveryOutdoors.com.